She's pleasant enough, and she's but 22, and she's the steward's niece. So, that was the other reason his brother had told him to stay in London, even after the brawls and his obvious impatience with the rather English way Ranulph had been conducting himself. "That's my duty now, is it?" he asked, unable to keep the growl from his voice. "We've nae met Lord Allen or his daughter, so I suppose we'll find out." The Marquis glanced beyond Arran's shoulder. "Your pretty bird is close by." Jane Hanover was more like a vulture, circling and waiting for him to succumb to her relentless charm, but Arran wasn't about to stand there and argue while she closed in. He didn't need to wear a fox mask to sense trouble, and Charlotte's 18-year-old sister was nothing but. His own sister Rowena's dearest friend or not, she was a debutante, a Sassanach, and a romantic. Arran shuddered, glancing over his shoulder. Devil take him before he let himself be caught up with that. And then, evidently, there was Clan Stewart. There'd been no open warfare between the two clans, and now that he thought about it, over the past week his brother had mentioned them more often than he had the Campbells. And though this was the first time Ranulph had spoken about him and Deirdre in the same sentence, Arran had more than a hunch it was coming. Politically, an alliance would likely fare better if Ranulph himself offered for Deirdre, but as the chief of Clan MacLawry had gone and fallen in love with a Sassanach, Arran supposed it fell to him to be the sacrificial MacLawry, and so he could only hope the lass more resembled her mother than she did her frog-faced father, and he could be grateful that no other lass in particular had caught his eye before now. Off to his left, the music for the evening's first waltz began, shaking him back to his present peril. Damnation. Jane Hanover would track him down, inform him that she had no partner for the dance, and he would have to be polite because they were about to become in-laws. Before the music finished, he would find himself betrothed, and that would throw a bucket of sour milk into Ranulph's plans, not to mention his own. A peacock and swan hurried through the doorway behind him. Arran had no intention of being polite to the point that he ended up leg-shackled to a fresh-faced debutante who found him ruggedly handsome. St. Bridget, he didn't even know what that meant. Sidestepping between two groups of guests, he turned again and walked straight into a red and gold vixen half-mask. "Sir Fox," she said, a surprised smile curving her mouth below the mask. "There he is, Jane," he heard his sister Winnie exclaim. "Lady Vixen," he returned, matching her smile with one of his own. "I dinna suppose you'd care to dance this waltz with one of your own kind." Shadowed green eyes gazed at him for a half-dozen heartbeats, while his doom moved in behind him. One of his dooms. How many of them was a man of 27 supposed to shoulder? "I'd be delighted, Sir Fox," the vixen said, saving him with not even a moment to spare. He held out his hand, and gold-gloved fingers gripped his. Moving as swiftly as he could without dragging her, or giving the appearance that he'd fled someone else, he escorted her out to the dance floor, slid his hand around her trim waist, and stepped with a vixen into the waltz. His partner was petite, he noted belatedly, the top of her head just brushing his chin, and she had a welcoming smile. Other than that, she might have been Queen Caroline for all he knew or cared. She wasn't Jane Hanover, and at that moment that was all that mattered. "Are we to waltz in silence, then?" she asked, London aristocrat in her voice. "Two foxes among herds of swans and bears and lions?" Arran grinned. "When I looked at the dessert table, I was surprised nae to see baskets of corn for all the birds."